public's behind him.
What's that?
I said, you have to worry the most. The public's behind you. You never know what's going to happen.
I know, exactly. I hope none of my enemies come by.
All right, we're live, gents. Okay. Welcome, everyone. My name is Robin Elander. I'm the Executive Director for Downtown Santa Barbara, an organization that promotes and supports over 1,300 businesses in Santa Barbara's downtown district. This is a weekly show, Downtown Spotlight. We've had about 37 different episodes, so you can check out all of those interviews with different downtown business owners on our website at downtownsb.org or the Independence website. And today we're going to be speaking about steak and seafood. Lots of great conversation and a new business that's going to be opening. But before we get into that conversation, I want to introduce my co-host, Matt Kettmann, who is the senior editor at the Santa Barbara Independent, where he's worked since 1999 and covered a wide range of topics. Today, he focuses mostly on food and drink, as well as special projects for the paper. And he's also a contributing editor to Wine Enthusiast magazine, where he reviews more than 200 wines every month. And he had his first book called Vines and Visions, the winemakers of Santa Barbara County, recently come out. So thank you, Matt, for continuing to host this fun show together. And so I'll let you take it away.
Thank you, Robin. It's been really fun and hopefully enlightening for everyone watching this show. We just heard that this is our 36th or 37th episode, which is kind of crazy. And we're already talking about maybe taking it to in-person venues, since the world seems to be opening up, which would be, I think, an exciting thing for all of us. Maybe we can still stream it too. I don't know, get everybody involved. But today, as Robin said, we have a great show with two of the leaders of State Street when it comes to serving steak and seafood and really establishing and maintaining classic locations for State Street and Santa Barbara at large. We have Clay Holdren, who is the owner of Holdren's, which is a steakhouse down on State Street. And Clay started that, basically on his own back in 2003 with the help of obviously investors and some family, but he'd been working in the restaurant business for a number of years up until that point and decided that, State Street needed a steakhouse, and he's going to tell us all about that. And then we have Warren Butler, who's a very familiar face around town. He came to town basically in 2007-ish and opened a stateside restaurant and then ended up working at a number of restaurants along the way. And currently is the GM at the Chase, a famous Santa Barbara landmark, really, and is about to open a new place called the Courthouse Tavern right across from the Sunken Gardens in a really cool location I think we all know well from other restaurants. And we're going to wish him well on that, and we're going to hear all about that today. So let's start first with Clay. Clay, we were talking a little before the show, and sounds like your restaurant career actually goes back to a pizzeria in Goleta. So tell us, sounds like you grew up here. How'd you get in the restaurant business?
Yeah, I'm born and raised here. My Uncle Steve got me in the business when I was 14 years old. I needed a job and didn't really know anything about it, but ended up working for him out in Goleta at an Italian pizzeria, and learned real fast about all the ins and outs of restaurant world business. It was very interesting.
Especially as a 14-year-old, I'm sure.
Yeah, I got thrown right into the pile of dishes my first night.
You said that was at the Fairview Center. Was that when Jasper's was still there?
Yeah, Jasper's was there. That's right.
And so you did what? You washed dishes, you made sandwiches. What'd you do?
So, yeah, I washed dishes to start, mopped the floors, swept the floors, prepped the food. Remember, I sliced my finger on a meat slicer one of my first days. That was entertaining.
Those things scare me to look at.
Yeah, it wasn't good. He wasn't very happy with me. But then there was a guy named Mark who worked there, who was kind of one of my mentors. I remember I was making a pizza one day and I was putting the pepperonis on one by one, and it took me about 10 minutes to put the pepperonis on the pizza. And he said, "Clay, I don't want you dealing cards for me." And he goes, let me show you how to do this. And he taught me so many little things about working fast, but working smart. And he was a great guy, and learned a lot, and actually ended up managing a store for my uncle. He opened a second location for a little bit, and I ended up managing that store for him. So
where was that? Was that in Goleta as well, or did he go?
Yeah, believe it or not, it's actually in San Marcos Bowl, if you remember that.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. So he opened a store in that place, which, I mean, it wasn't my favorite, to be honest with you, but I learned about ordering and, a lot of the back of the house stuff with management. So I learned a lot, at a young age. I mean, I was 20 years old, I think, when I worked in that place. So it was good. It was a good experience.
Great. And so then then you left town, you went to college and.
I went to college, I came back, and then I started working down at, I worked everywhere, man. I worked at State and A, I worked at the Harbor, I worked at all kinds of different nightclubs, and I worked at Pascucci's for a couple of years, and that's when it kind of really hit me, like, all right, I was working daytime before I'd go bartend at night, and everyone would come and for lunch and say, where can I get a steak for dinner? And at the time, this was 2000 probably. There was Lucky's. Lucky's was open, but that's in Montecito. There was Tee-Off, and Tee-Off's up Upper State and Chuck's. But as far as, all the people downtown and all the tourists in town, there was nothing. And so I finally said, someone's got to do this. Someone's got to open a steakhouse downtown. And
yeah, for all the places that serve, I mean, a lot of places serve steak, but and other than the ones you listed, which were Uptown and on Montecito, there was no dedicated steakhouse on State Street. And really, unless I'm forgetting something, there almost still isn't, except for you to some extent. Maybe it's only like a one steakhouse town or something, or strip, but.
Yeah, it is. I mean, there are people that serve steaks, but not a true steakhouse, and so I came up with a whole business plan, and ended up talking to my parents, and I was a server. I didn't have any sort of money to invest, and I came up with a plan and pitched it to multiple people, and some people laughed and said, you're crazy, I'll never own a restaurant. And other people were super excited. And so we made a decision. We got a group together, and this location where I am now is still owned by the Cravioto family, and they were EJs, and my parents knew them, and they had a relationship because the parents were in construction and my dad was in construction. And so they said, to the guys, if you ever want to leave the restaurant business, we have an idea. And it took about a year before they finally called us and said, all right, I think we're done in the restaurant business. And
EJ's was like a casual diner, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah. So the story goes, so Joe's was here up until 1985. And there's a bunch I have an old book, actually, it's pretty crazy, telling the history of Joe's. And there's a bunch of pictures in there of this location. 1985, something happened. I'm not exactly sure what. Joe's moved up to the corner. The Cravioto family opened with a kind of a similar menu as Joe's, similar feel, but it wasn't Joe's. And I think they own the building, so they did fine. But I don't, it kind of towards the end, I think they were struggling a little bit, and so that's when they called us and said, "We want out. Do you want this place?" And then we opened in June of 2003, and I didn't know that summer would be as crazy as it was. And I mean, the minute we opened, and mind you, this was before the Funk Zone was there this is when we had the big holes underneath the bridge. There was nothing. There were the big holes in the ground. You remember that? I mean, there was nothing down there. And it's crazy to see, we've been open 18 years now, actually 18 years next week. And the evolution of this town is so wild to me. I mean, when we first opened, we were too deep at the bar. We had to wait every night. And then we went through and the funk zone came, and there's so many different variables that have changed my business. And now with the Promenade, it's back to almost like it was back in 2003. It's been a crazy journey.
Wow. 18 years, did you say? Next week. Is that right?
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's huge.
Thank you so much.
And what was when it came to like a steakhouse format, did you go check out a bunch of steakhouses? I mean, what was your motivation? Like, what was your model? What makes a steakhouse a steakhouse? I mean, really?
I had never worked in a steakhouse, and I figured, it's a restaurant. Well, yeah, it's a restaurant, but it's a little different restaurant. And so we went to Chicago. My cousin Dax was a professional volleyball player, and he would play all over the country. And so we would go see him. And then when we're out, we go out to steakhouses. I remember we went to a place in Chicago that was called the Chop House. And then we went to a place in Vegas that, what's the one downstairs at the Palms? I forget the name of it. But anyways, we went through various cities and wanted to be the, old school style, dark booths, dark wood steakhouse. And so when we took over this location, this is a good story actually, the bar is the oldest working bar in Santa Barbara. It's been a bar since Prohibition, which was the early 20s. So almost 100 years old, and there's a lot of character. I'm sure, I wish the bar could talk because I'm sure there's plenty of stories.
That would be interesting.
You might be approaching 100-year anniversary on that bar. You should figure that out.
Yeah, it is close. I know it's
time
close.
for a gathering.
Yeah. So anyways, we did a lot of research. It's funny. I have some old relics I kept, including my original business plan, and I was looking through at the prices that I wanted to charge when I first started, and I laughed a little bit because it doesn't feel like it's been 18 years, but I mean, it has, and it's changed. I mean, the world has changed, as you guys know.
Yeah. Well, do you have throwback price parties every once in a while? Yeah.
We've done it for the past few years. Last year we did a $17 menu for our 17-year anniversary, and we will do that again. But I usually wait until the winter time to do that. So yeah, we're going to do an $18 promo this year again. We usually choose a week or two and throw 5 or 6 items on the menu, and it's pretty popular. Yes, for sure.
Right. And your crowd is obviously, you're going to get tourists down there, but I get the sense you get a pretty strong local following as well, right?
Yeah, we do. We get, we get a lot of locals, and it's crazy. The people that come in are very loyal, and I found that out significantly during the whole COVID shutdown and reopen and shut down and reopen. A lot of loyal people who are super happy that we're still here, and it really warms my heart. A quick story. Last Sunday or 2 Sundays ago, this couple came in, and they're an older couple now, but they used to come in every Friday night. Every Friday, the chances. Wow. I love them, and I hadn't seen them for a while, and they came in, and maybe it was a few Sundays ago. Anyway, they came in, and Mrs. Chance sat down in the booth on a Sunday morning, and she said to me, I said, "Hey guys, how's it going? It's so great to see you." She says, "Oh my gosh, I have so many great memories in this place. I'm so happy to be back." And that that's why I love this business. I mean, there's so many people that have had so many good memories in the place that I run and live every day. It's just, it makes me happy. And so they've been in every Sunday since now, and it's just great seeing them again. And, you know, there's a lot of stories like that of people who, you know, celebrations, we're a place where you come celebrate a lot of times. And so from graduations to birthdays, people come in every year. Thanksgiving is our busiest day of the year. And every year we see the same people on Thanksgiving, and sharing holidays and celebrations like that with people is one of my favorite things.
That's so special. Wow, that's incredible.
That's great. Yeah, you become a part of their traditions. So
yeah,
we'll come back to Clay to talk about how he's been dealing with the pandemic and how things are looking into the future. But speaking of traditions, let's cut over to Warren Butler, who is in charge of the Chase, which is one of the more iconic and historic State Street restaurants in Santa Barbara. And he's about to open a new place called Courthouse Tavern right across from the courthouse. So Warren, welcome. How are you doing today? And tell us a little bit about your restaurant career and how you've come to Santa Barbara and established yourself in the middle of so many different projects.
All right. Well, it's great to be here. It's great to be here on State Street with my background. So glad the sun came out. It was a little cloudy earlier. I was a little worried, but no, I'm happy to be here. And yeah, you know, Clay, I just want to congratulate him and his success and all the hard work he did during COVID and staying open like us. We did what we had to do, selling toilet paper, selling hand sanitizer, whatever it took over the bar to take care of our guests. So congrats to him. But yeah, no, I love it. I traveled around the country, opening restaurants, developing concepts, and I can go on and on about that. But, you know, I was really excited to land here in Santa Barbara and kind of settle down. This is kind of semi-retirement, if you can believe that. You know, I don't think you're ever semi-retired in the restaurant business, but compared to, you know, LA and Honolulu and Boston and Atlanta, you know, it's kind of, at least, like, you know, I try to get to bed before 2 o'clock in the morning. So, you know.
And so you came to town to open the stateside. That was what originally brought you to town? Yeah,
my first, you know, experience was with, you know, coming up with Morton Steakhouse with everybody all over the country came. We stayed at the Biltmore. And that was my first experience. And I said to the VP of real estate, I said, wouldn't this be a great place for Morton's? And I think he said that Holdren's had the market on steakhouses. So they said, you know, that it wasn't a good market. But anyway, a couple of years later, I ended up having the opportunity to come up here with Stateside. And you know, I never left. I said, hey, you know what, this is a great, you know, community, great town, and but Stateside is the one that drew me up first.
All right. And how'd you wind up at the Chase?
Well, you know, I've been working on a lot of projects. You know, the last one was the old Elephant Bar, you know, situation with Flightline, and when that imploded a little bit, you know, the Chase, you know, the owner Chase, you know, was having a tough time, and he was trying to keep the legacy going with Chase, and he needed somebody to come in and run the show and be here every day. And I'm like, that's what I do, you know. And I said I'd love it. So you know, I heard so many great things about Chase. This was one of the first places I went to when I was in town back in 2007. I remember having a meeting in one of those booths and talk about the opening of Stateside. So, you know, I said, hey, you know what? It's a great place. It has great food. It just needs to have somebody here every day, you know, and, you know, shaking hands and kissing babies and taking care of people. And sure enough, it's turned out to be a great experience. And even during the tough times through COVID, you know, we too were able to hang in here and just we're lucky to have, you know, a lot of the loyal guests and, you know, like Clay said, and just, you know, take care of people.
What's the, I mean, do you know when the Chase opened? Do you know a little bit of the history of Chase?
Yeah, I mean, it opened about 45 years ago. You know, Angie and Tony opened it up way back when. The building itself was owned by, you know, Chase, not Pearl Chase, but I think it was a brother. That's why the name is still on the building. So they said, all right, when, you know, at some point they turned it into a restaurant and they called it the Chase Restaurant. But Tony and Angie are very, very famous. Caligieri's, I think, is how you say their last name. But they were famous, and they started it, and they were just you know, did a great job. And then Sonia and George took it over after about 20 years, and they had it for about 20 years themselves. So Jack Mathis, you know, the car known, has had it, you know, for about 4 or 5 years.
Okay. And you guys serve, I mean, you serve you serve Italian food. Describe your menu for people who haven't been there.
Well, it's Italian American. You know, it has a little Mediterranean flair when Sonia was here, but we unfortunately did away with the white beans and the didn't seem to fit with the Italian, American Italian steakhouse. It's kind of like a New York, old school New York, Italian, Italian and steakhouse type feel. But our biggest sellers are the chicken piccata. We do piccata like 10 different ways. You can have chicken piccata, you can have a veal piccata, you can have halibut piccata, you can have shrimp piccata, you can have calamari piccata. So those are our number one sellers. But we do obviously we do marsala, we do a lot of pasta dishes, but we also have steaks and salads and appetizers and flatbreads and so on and so forth. So kind of place I love to eat. A little bit of everything.
Yeah, and a pretty reliable bar too. I mean, it's always a good bar scene there as well.
Oh yeah, it's like you say, you've been here 45 years. It's historical, and the people that come in, it's just amazing. You never know who's going to be here, and I mean, we say that the locals are celebrities here at Chase. And that's that's the way we feel about it. The who's who of town. We'll get judges in here. We'll get other restaurateurs. We'll get bar owners. I mean, we'll get just a lot of fun, to be here.
Yeah. Awesome. And you probably saw that loyalty during the pandemic that Clay was talking about too. I mean, people that are regulars probably showed up in force as much as they could.
Yeah, we did. It was a lot of fun because, it was just me and a couple of cooks. We just held down the fort, and sometimes it got a little crazy, because, I'm not the fastest. I can do maybe 3 or 4 things at once. I can't do 5 or 6. So I was challenged at times, but it was all worth it. We were able to keep the place open, keep, some of the employees employed. And then, when we were able to go open up outside, we were ready. I think in 2 hours, I think I had tables out on the sidewalk and, was rocking and rolling. I'm like, because I kind of knew about it in advance. So I was ready.
Right. Awesome. So tell us about your new venture, Courthouse Tavern, which is in the spot that was formerly occupied by Little Door, and then Elements. I think it was probably the best known spot there over the last 20 years. What are you doing there, and what's the plan?
Yeah, so excited.
Yeah, it's very exciting. I mean, I remember it as Elements, and when I first came to town, I would go there because it was right around the corner from Stateside. And it's been sitting there for a little while, and it's had some challenges. I think everybody's been trying to put a square peg into a round hole, and rather than just take advantage of what's surrounding you there, the courthouse, all the courthouse and employees and lawyers, and next door is the county, building, and there's a lot of people there once everybody starts coming back. So, I believe you want to create a environment where the locals can all hang out at at affordable prices. And that's why I called it the Courthouse Tavern. I wanted to tie in the courthouse and that tavern type atmosphere. And just I'm going to do breakfast, lunch, early dinner. I'm going to do, wedding rehearsal dinners on Friday nights. I might close down on Saturdays and do weddings, and, as long as you're consistent, it won't be a problem. But, the idea is just to give the people what they want, and not necessarily, it's not about me. It's not about what I want to do. It's about what, the people, next door and the community, wants. And I think we're going to do happy hour all day, so we'll have, all sorts of, drink, reasonably drink price, but, also small plates. A lot of times you don't want a big flatbread. You just want half of one. So why do you have to buy a $14 half bread? Why not buy, one for $7, $8, and that way you don't have to take it home and have it sit in your car for 3 days before you realize you got to throw it out, So, it's all about, catering to that market and not try to be, too fancy and too expensive, because I think, some of the other, places, they were great restaurants and great restaurant people, but it just didn't work. Every once in a while, somebody will say to me, Warren, I really love that Little Door. I want you to, have that, great food, and, who's going to be your, great chef. And I say, let me make one thing perfectly clear. We're not going to be the Little Door. It didn't work.
So the style of food is kind of American, I guess, tavern style food, or?
Yeah, it's going to be American, but again, we'll have, a bunch of, breakfast options, lunch options, dinner. We want to have, we wanted to keep it casual, but we'll have, some, items that we can do, wedding rehearsal dinners. So we'll do, I'm going to be teaming up with, I'm a partner here with Jack at Chase, and he's going to partner with me there. So we're going to be doing catering. Right now, if people said they had 100 people and they wanted Chase food, it would be tough to do it out of our small kitchen. I'm not sure if you've been by, but they can barely handle the added tables we have now.
I
So now
walked
we're
by
gonna,
there through the back door. It's a tight kitchen.
yeah, yeah. Whereas the the Courthouse Tavern, that location, huge kitchen. I mean, it's 2 kitchens. So we'll be able to have 1 kitchen for the restaurant and then utilize the other kitchen to do catering. And what a better place to have a luncheon than across the street in the Sunken Gardens. I mean, it's just a beautiful, iconic atmosphere. And one thing that did come out of all the changes, is that the Little Door made a great investment and they raised that deck. So now when you look out, you don't have to worry about Warren's van or mobile home in front of your view. You're above it all, and you're just looking out over the the courthouse and the garden and the Sunken Garden. So we're looking forward to not only taking advantage of it with the restaurant, but doing lots of catering across the street because obviously we're right there.
Right. And when do you expect to open?
Well, the goal is to get things rock and rolling and open up, even if just the bar and some appetizers, to open up, June 15th when the state opens up. The whole idea is that, I think people are getting ready. We're gonna, we'll talk about this more later, I'm sure, but it's going to be a great summer. So, June 15th, I think the governor is opening things up, and we want to be ready, and we want to start celebrating.
Right. Awesome.
Beautiful.
We'll come back to you to hear about your June 15th forward predictions. But Clay, let's hear a little bit more about how you responded to the pandemic and how the promenade's working for you. I actually, the first day I went out to eat, this is like a year, when things opened back up at the Memorial Day weekend. I think that next week I went out for my first time in 2.5 months, and I hit satellite, and then I was with a photographer and we came to Holdren. So you were one of my first return to some first wave of normalcy situation, during a really weird time. But it felt really nice to be at a restaurant, eating without a mask on, outside, all very safe. Yours was probably the first place where I got to use the now somewhat ubiquitous QR code menu situation. So I don't know, tell us about, how you adjusted so quickly, and it sounds like things have gone relatively okay for you despite all the shutdown. So tell us how that all played out.
So I'll start with the first day. I didn't know what I was going to do.
I bet it was so stressful.
That first day was like the Friday of Memorial Day weekend, right?
No. I'm talking about March.
Oh, March 15th or whatever, yeah.
I'm talking about March, and it was terrible. I mean, I had to tell all my employees, you're not going to be working. And I have 30 employees here and 30 down in my store in Thousand Oaks. And everyone kind of looked at me and went, well, okay. And it was terrible. It was terrible. And I knew right away I was going to have to pivot to something. And I ended up, the first week we were closed, I started a grocery business. And I started with 60 people, all friends and family. And I sent out an email and I said, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to send you a spreadsheet. We're selling all of our meats, all of our cheeses, all of our produce, that and to-go cocktails and wine, anything that we could sell, we were trying to sell as groceries. Because I don't know if you remember, at that time, a lot of people were scared to go to the grocery store.
That's true.
And so
there was nothing even available at the grocery store.
Yeah, remember, everything was out, right? So we did it twice a week. I would send it out Monday. We'd get them back Tuesday, and then they would drive up, and we would bag all the groceries and walk out to their car, put it in their car, and then we'd do it over again the next 3 days. And then at night we would sell to-go food. Well, the grocery business turned out to be a savior for us, because my list grew to over 200 people because the word got out and people really wanted to, they were happy with, you can't, the meats and the seafood that we get here is better quality than the grocery store. And so people were really excited to, once they tried what we were selling, they loved it. And, we had homemade dressings that we were selling, ranch dressing that we make here, and balsamic and all that stuff. And so that part saved us.
Wow.
100%. We were selling a ton of groceries. It was a ton of work. I don't want to sell groceries anymore.
That's the first time, though, that I've heard that version of a pivot. I've heard a whole lot of takeout, but in terms of a restaurant going grocery mode, that is an innovative pivot. And I'm so happy that that worked out well for you and that you don't want to do it anymore.
You should have seen our restaurant. It didn't even look like a restaurant. I mean, we would bring out boxes of produce and throw stuff in bags. And then the first day we did it, we didn't know what we were doing. And half the people were missing stuff, and it was crazy. But all those people, I just want to say a big thank you to all those people that helped support us. And that's what we were talking about earlier with regulars and stuff like that, because the word started getting out and the regulars started wanting it, and it was great. And then so then we got to Memorial Day, and I was able to keep a few employees on. And then Memorial Day came, and we had to open, and we got crushed. There were so many people that were so tired of being at home, and they came out, and I didn't have enough people to work. And it was so busy. It was so busy. And I was questioning why, what was happening on State Street was allowed, but my kids couldn't go to school. You know, like there was 1,000 people on our block, but our kids couldn't go to school. It was just crazy to me. And it was good. I mean, the summer was really busy. I built up my staff. I got a lot of really good people who had lost their jobs at other restaurants. And that's what happened. A lot of the really solid restaurant people wanted to work. Some of the ones that maybe weren't so solid were collecting their unemployment and staying home. So I have a really solid staff right now because of that. They came, they wanted to work. A lot of ex-managers at different places, stuff like that. And the whole summer was great. And then the second shutdown came. And thank goodness I kept the grocery business going throughout the whole summer. Even though I wasn't in love with it, I knew there was a possibility of a second shutdown. And we're not a to-go food place. I mean, people come here to eat a steak and have a martini or a bottle of wine and have a nice dinner. You know, steak and lobster in a to-go container isn't ideal for a lot of people. So the second shutdown, we actually closed for 2.5 weeks because we were having nights where the phone would ring once, and it just wasn't worth it. So I did some repairs, and then ever since we reopened the second time, it's been crazy busy. Like I said, like back in the day before the Funk Zone was here, it's been wild.
That's great.
Yeah. Warren, how has business been at the Chase? I mean, pretty consistent through the pandemic?
Yeah, similar type of story, as Clay's talking about. Yeah, it was we did pretty well with the to-go. I mean, we were still down about 70%, but just being able to do 30% of what we normally did, we felt happy about it all. But as soon as we opened up, it was pretty wild. I mean, I've never taken, I've never waited on tables. I mean, I made more money than I ever made in my entire life, and I would split it with the kitchen guys because, I was like, hey, I got $400. Here's a couple hundred for you guys, Yeah. But I was running around with my head cut off, and I think people, appreciated the fact, that we hung in there and that, it was tough getting the employees back. But I too want to thank not only the guests, but I want to thank the staff. I mean, those that did hang in there and worked, it would have been easier to close down. I mean, there's no question about that, but, it's just not within my, DNA. So we just kept it going. And again, the employees, not only did they work, but they also put their, you think about it. I mean, they could have caught COVID themselves by, being out there. They could have, there were some that couldn't come back to work because they had family at home that were, older and so on and so forth. So you got about half back, and then we had to build on that. And we were able to do it. And again, like Clay said, the summer was, fantastic. But I'll tell you, the toughest day for me was, when they shut down around Christmas, because it was a winter wonderland here. I mean, if anybody went by, it was.
You went for it.
It was going to be the best Christmas I've ever had. I mean, I'm from Boston, and I just really like Christmas. And, for 40 years, Chase has been collecting, Christmas stuff and shoving it all in this small space. I was able to spread it out, right? We just had our Christmas tree in. It was about, I think it was, I'm going to say it's 50 foot, but obviously it wasn't. It seemed that tall to me. It was about, 18 feet. The next day, they shut us down.
I remember that. I was like, it's so decorated. And then.
I was so sad. I mean, I'm like, so, it was funny because, people came down at times and said, Warren, you got to do this, you got to do that. I go, hey, you know what? It's Christmas. You know what? I just got to, you got to hang in there, but anyway, it was devastating, but, at some point we were able to open back up again. And now, our business is, we're lucky, a lot of businesses down out on State Street. They're not, able to move out onto the sidewalk and out on the street. So I understand that. So, we're fortunate and, and I don't take that for granted. There's a lot of other restaurateurs out there in town that don't have that, advantage. But, for us, the big challenge now is getting employees back to work and getting staffed. I think, the summer is going to be great. And again, we'll go into it more, but the employees aren't going to be coming back, till September. So a lot of them, the kids aren't at school, they're going to be be able to collect, unemployment. They're going to be waiting for that bonus to come back, so they're like, hey, who wants to come back to work in the summertime?
Well,
who wants to hang out on the beach?
I was going to ask you guys a little bit about your, overall seating, because with the promenade, you probably have a significant number more seats, especially when you can go back to dining in as well. But then I was starting to remember that, every restaurateur I've talked to in the past 2 months is saying staffing is like incredibly difficult right now for a variety of reasons. One being that there's still money coming at them from other sources. Another that it sounds like a bunch of people just left the restaurant business. They maybe went from being a cook to going into construction, which was maybe steadier work or stuff like that. So, I mean, how are you dealing with that, Warren, especially as you're looking to staff up a new restaurant?
Well, they come on by and they have a heartbeat, we give them a chance, we get them going. But no, it's funny you say that, we're not going to open up all our tables inside the way that we did, because I thought they were a little bit too close together anyway. People are like on top of each other. So the good news now is when you sit inside, you got a little bit more elbow room, and that's good because our kitchen can only handle so much. The kitchen can't handle, it's all about providing a good experience, for the guests, of course, and not being overwhelmed. So we might even have to take some tables and turn them into bar only, where you can't even order food there because again, the kitchen can only handle so many tables. But it's definitely challenging, but you do what you got to do, and you just you work at it. We brought some people back that maybe you give them second chances where maybe we wouldn't have in the past. So in the end, I think you do what you got to do, and you just make it happen, and you just refuse to to lose and to not do the best job you can.
Right. Clay, it sounds like you kind of strategically hired good people during the pandemic and kept them employed. So it sounds like you might be in a good place. Are you having trouble finding staff at all right now, or are you kind of set?
We need people. But I, when we closed the second time, a lot of my kitchen staff didn't qualify for any unemployment. So I built up some loyalty that way by I would give them groceries every week. So they at least had food on their table. And for about 2 months, they came in every Tuesday and picked up a couple bags of groceries and took it home. So we got a lot of loyalty that way, and I was happy to do it. We're fortunate that we are where we are. As far as our location, like Warren was saying, I mean, I can't imagine if you're on a side street and you can't go out. We've gained about 30 seats, and our kitchen is a closet, kind of like Warren's talking about. And
yeah, I got in the front of the building too. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's nowhere to go. I mean, I joke about building a second deck in there, but there's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to expand, and so we used to have 20 tables inside, and I think we're going to have maybe 15 because we just can't do what we were doing in the past with all the stuff outside,
Right.
So it's challenging. I need people. If anyone out there knows anyone, I need some busters. I need some hostesses. But but you know what? There's worse problems to have than that. And I just went to San Francisco a couple weeks ago, and every restaurant on the waterfront's closed just about. It's crazy permanently, and we're just fortunate to be where we're at, to have a supporting group of people that come and support us. And so yeah, like I said, it could be way worse. I feel very fortunate of how we navigated this whole thing.
And you're probably expecting a big weekend this weekend with Memorial Day. Community's expecting quite a lot of influx of guests. So
yeah, it's funny. Good. We used to not even open during the day on Saturday and Sunday, and now we are open for brunch, lunch, and dinner. Oh, because wow. you kind of have to be. There's so many people out on the streets.
Well, and with the promenade, you're occupying like some pretty valuable real estate on the walking circuit, so you might as well capture some of that traffic, you know?
Yeah, because otherwise, if it was just blank and all your neighbors are doing business, you just don't look right. Chairs. So you kind of have to do it.
yeah, for sure. But that, we haven't done brunch in years, so that's, you have to have a good egg person, and luckily we do. And it's changed our whole business. We used to be wine and martinis, and now we're a margarita bar on the weekends during the day. I mean, it's changed though. I've had to relearn my business since we reopened again, and ordering and all that stuff. It's a lot different than it was.
I think I had a margarita when I was there a year ago, so maybe I started the trend. But you're looking forward to a pretty booming summer, Clay?
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, there's a lot. Everyone wants to go somewhere, right? There's still a lot of people that are scared to fly. I feel like, and why wouldn't you just drive to Santa Barbara for the weekend if you live in LA, or if you live in San Francisco, or anywhere, Arizona, whatever. I feel like we're going to be a big destination for a lot of tourists coming into town, and I think everyone, and myself included, are ready to go somewhere. So it's been a long year for people. And it's June 15th, allegedly we're going to be open full steam ahead. So I think this summer might be one of our busiest summers ever, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, it feels like there's a lot of pent up wanting to do something energy that's about to boil over. So, I mean, even just in the past, few weeks since I've been vaccinated and going out, the changes and how quickly they're happening are like, they're like 1 week is completely different than the next week. And it's like, I actually went out to the bars a couple of weeks ago for the first time in 15 months, which was like a very glorious thing.
Yeah, for sure. I get it.
I know, just to walk around, like, being fully vaccinated, not having your mask, you almost feel like you're doing something wrong. Like, oh,
it's just okay.
Warren, it's so true.
Warren, I mean, with the Courthouse Tavern open, I mean, you're timing that opening for June 15th. I mean, you're obviously expecting a pretty big summer too. Why don't you tell us what you're hoping for in the summer months?
Oh, it's going to be, I think it's going to be a wild and crazy, summer. I think that, we just all need to get prepared, and, obviously we want to do a great job, because we don't want the naysayers out there to go, I know that, they couldn't handle it, or whatever the case may be. So I think we all need to, be ready, brace ourselves, and, look forward to, like Clay was saying, the best summer that, we've had in probably, obviously, decades. But, yeah, we're looking forward to it. We were changed a few things around, because, we just changed our software, our point of sale system, so that we can take orders at the table. And because, going all the way back into the kitchen, and get, and getting a drink or whatever, this way here, you can put the order in, and the drink can be on its way out before you even leave the table, and that's important. So that I've been going through that the last few days, and it's a pain in the butt, but it's going to be worth it in the end, because, again, you have all these tables out here in the patio. It takes, by the time you take the order, the table next to you talks to you. By the time you get the drink, it's like, how long does it take to get a Coke, or a glass of wine, right? I mean, how you do? So we've, changed that all around, and then hopefully that's going to help us, enable us to take care of, the business and do a good job.
Great.
And the Tavern, the Tavern is just, it's not necessarily a legacy restaurant, of course, but it's a legacy location. People are very fond of it. They really want to see it work.
Yeah.
You know, so people are going to be very supportive of me, and they, you know, and they say, you know, just do what it takes and do it right. And I believe people are going to embrace it because, you know, it's, you know, we take it for granted, the courthouse, but it, you know, like the mission, it's one of the most, you know, iconic things, you know, in the nation. I mean, if you think about it, we live here, so we're like, the courthouse, you know, the mission, what's the big deal? That's a big deal. Imagine having a restaurant like on the other side of the Rose Garden, looking out over the mission. That's going to be my next project. I'm going to take over one of those houses and turn it into a restaurant, because it's just,
there you go.
I mean, you just feel so good, you know, about it, you know. So I'm looking forward to it.
Can you talk a little bit more? Do you mind if I ask a question, Matt?
Yeah, go for it.
Your tavern section of your restaurant, are you going to have local beers? Are you going to partner with local breweries on that?
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole idea. You know, definitely want to do local beer, local wine. I mean, it's a little challenge because it doesn't have a lot of you know, tap lines. And one thing I'm not going to do is open up a can of worms and do more construction. I mean, I ain't changing anything. Because it's, you know, it took them 2 or 3 years. That was part of the challenge. You know, they moved that deck, which you thought would be pretty simple, but that just opened up a can of worms. Before you know it, they had to put in a lift for the handicap, which makes sense. And then they had to put in a trash enclosure, which makes sense, you know, because who wants to live next door and have, you know, smelly trash, you know, out on the other side, you know. So anyway, I'm not making any major changes. But anyway, it's going to hold me up a little bit because I'd love to have a lot of draft beer and online. You know, I'll bring in a draft cooler at some point, so I'll have 4 or so, but I'm going to have a lot of great local wines. And, you know, I'm going to do a lot of fun, you know, drinks, of course. I'm going to have a nice cocktail list. Because, yeah, I want it to be a tavern. I want it to be like Cheers, where people come and hang out. And, you know, you don't spend a fortune. You just come in and you know, maybe wet your whistle. Maybe, you know, take care of your thirst. You know what I mean? Maybe have a quick bite. You know,
Love
and then if you want to
that.
sit down and have dinner, you can do all that too. And I'm going to get a deck out front too. I think we have until March to, you know, to take advantage of the parklet opportunity. So I'm going to have a parklet out there, you know, right in front of the restaurant. And that's going to be right on top of the, you know, the gardens. You know what I mean? I mean, you're like going to be, it's like you're going to be in the courthouse. You know what I mean?
Ask soon, because I think that's changing how much you can do soon, but ask right away.
Oh yeah, no, I've already started working on it. I mean, what we've all learned is people want to be, who knew, right? Here in Santa Barbara, we have the beautiful, the best weather in probably, you know, the country and the world. And, you know, here we are outside and people are loving it. You know, it's like, hello.
Yeah. Well, that's right down the street from where I live. So I'm excited about it.
Robin's going to be one of those Cheers people.
I'll be at Cheers local. Yes. There's a place where I grew up called the Pub, and I miss that. So anybody who's watching from where I grew up, the Pub was pretty much Cheers. And so I miss all my crew there, and I've made a new crew here, but looking forward to that spot too.
Yeah. Thank you. We'll have a chair for you. I'll put your name on it.
There you go. Well, they've answered all my questions, Robin. I don't know if you have any more for them, or if there were anything that popped up from the crowd, or.
No, we haven't had any audience questions, and this has been such a great conversation. I don't have anything else, but I can introduce the next show. Unless Clay or Warren, do you want to share anything else that's coming up you want our audience to know about before we switch gears?
Well, I want to thank you for the market out behind me here. The market on State Street.
Yeah, absolutely. There's the State Street Promenade Market every Thursday, and it's right outside of where Warren's restaurant is. So, absolutely.
So thank you for all that. Thank you for Matt, your continued support of the restaurant industry and the restaurant business. I'm on the hospitality committee with the chamber, and we're really looking forward to working together. And one last thing I got to mention about Cork and Fork Radio with Drew Wakefield. And I know Clay's been on the show, and Drew's just doing it. I'm the executive director of that. Like I don't have enough things to do, but you know, Drew does most of the work, but he does a great job on the Cork and Fork Radio 805, supporting local restaurants and charities, and you know, tune in on 1290 AM. And I just want to shout out to Drew Wakefield and all the support that he's given to the local community.
Beautiful. Clay, anything last to add before we talk about the next week's show?
I have been on that show before. Drew does a great job. I just want to say thanks for everything you guys are doing. And remember, everybody, support local business, please. You you help us all so much, and it means the world to us. So continue to support local business when you're going out and having a good time.
Beautiful. Well, that is an absolutely perfect transition, because the next show is about supporting local business in a different way. And if I can remember and bring up my what's happening next, we are so excited because we are having an episode about drinks for a cause. And so we're going to be talking with Tammy Snow and Scott Stefan from Draftsman, and then also Jason Jones and Colin Campbell of Red Piano. Also Melissa Baffa from the Santa Barbara Museum of History. And so all of these places have special kind of drinks that support local initiatives. So really exciting conversation. We're going to learn about their businesses, how they're doing, what they're supporting. And you can go back and check out all of these conversations, learn about our local business owners on the website at downtownsb.org or on the Santa Barbara Independence website. We have shows each Thursday at 3. Check out our State Street Promenade Market again today, where we are hosting different local artisans. We're soon going to be adding music and so much more to that event as we are opening back up. And then again, any type of business that you want to know about downtown, we have our website has special itineraries and guides. We're going to be adding some walking tours in the next year. So lots of stuff going on. So Matt, anything else you want to share before we close it up?
I don't think so. I'll see you next week as well to talk about places that sell drinks and donate money to good causes. So
yes, good stuff. Well, thank you both, everybody. We'll see you next time, and hope you have an amazing summer. I'll see you at your restaurant soon.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.
Thank you very much.